let's check out the new Ray of Doom buff. Its damage went up from 25 to 30. Yup, that's it. That's the only change. It's a fairly minor one, and even smaller when you consider the fact that the Ray of Doom has bonus damage to the first balloon, which makes it do 80 damage. However, it seems like that plus 5 damage does not apply in this update either. Otherwise, you'd currently see this damage count show 5 as the last digit sometimes, but it's still always 0. But regardless, this change still has ramifications in modes like CHIMPS, where, say, you wanna have Ray of Doom as maybe your only damage. No, this is not going to be a 2 TC. However, I am going to try to get as far as I can in CHIMPS mode, with the Ray of Doom being almost all the damage, while also using minimal amount of towers. In summary, I want to see how long I can get on CHIMPS with 3 towers, 4 towers, 5 towers, and even beyond. The caveat, again, being that the other towers are going to be support, so Ray of Doom still stays at most damage. Otherwise, like, if I want to make it really easy for myself, the third tower would be like a DPS tower, like a Flying Fortress or something. I will say, the first several rounds certainly does play like a 2 TC though, although I'm gonna add my third tower once I actually get, I think, Plasma Accelerator up. For now, even just getting a Laser Cannon would be a nice stepping stone. Perfect. You've probably seen this many times already, and that is the Ultra Boost plus Ray of Doom combo is pretty much the strongest, or one of the strongest 2 TC combos, so that's why we're starting off with 3 off the bat. The next strongest support tower after Ultra Boost would probably just be more attack speed buffs, because given the Ray of Doom got even more damage this update, you probably don't stand to benefit too much from stuff like Turbo Moab. Just makes attack speed buffs all the better, so that's why Homeland for basically, well, Jungle Drums, which is a passive 17% attack speed, and the double permanent, no, not permanent, but temporary attack speed of Homeland. Our Ray of Doom is going to be ticking damage like crazy. I think from here on out, we can start saving for the Ray of Doom, although not if the purples have anything to say about it. I think for this round, we have to get Oversized Nails. I think I've tried this combo before, so I'm no stranger to this combo, even overclocking the overclock, just so we guarantee we get the purples down. Even with the Jungle Drums buff, I am reminded by how brutal the Accelerator is against Fortified Cerams. Almost there, Ray of Doom, but we've got to beat these stupid rounds first. Can't wait to get Ray of Doom so we can just one-shot these F-Cerams, but for now, we gotta point them for like 5 seconds before they pop fully. Alright, last lane. There we go. Just pop a few balloons, and there it is. A Ray of Doom has been afforded. And now we can relax for at least the next 30 rounds. Now, during this chill time, let me talk about the numbers of what this Ray of Doom buff means. Because, again, as I said at the start, you don't get the extra 5 damage, even on the first target, unfortunately. So basically, there's only a damage buff on targets, which is not the first, like, target on the beam. Because remember, it's the first target on the beam that gets the extra damage. And it's very important at that. Not to mention, do remember that shock targets get or take extra damage. So I think it's plus 20 on the Ray of Doom. Also, Ultra Boost now. So technically we're talking about a 45 to 50 damage buff, which is, instead of what seemed like 20% on paper, is closer to like a little bit over 10%. Not to minimize the significance of this buff, because regardless, it's going to be important because we're not always going to be able to hit the target we want as a first target, because, you know, balloons get in the way, especially on Resort. But sometimes you gotta sacrifice the first target bonus if it means you get such a satisfying straight line like this one. So we're gonna have a lot of money for our 4th tower. I'm gonna think about that one, because honestly, after the first 2 support towers, it's a pretty steep drop off. There is nothing else that gives such, like, a great amount of attack speed. After this, it's really just plus damage buffs. Here's 119, by the way. Still, these bats are popping in the first bend, so nothing really to be scared about. The only missing attack speed buff that I see that can be reasonably afforded is the Alchemist Perm Brew. That's like a 15% approximately. You also do get, obviously, permanent plus damage, but it's going to be so insignificant that we're basically spending 50k on, well, 15% power, which still might be the most efficient thing. And see, it's not always just bads. Even fortified ZMGs give us a problem. First round where we actually had to activate Homeland. Here's also a semi-annoying change that I would like NK to address, basically, right now, because I have Homeland, and I want to show you the Ray of Doom beam. I currently have accessibility to 100%, meaning you see the full amount of the particle. However, this does mean when I use Homeland, it's flashbang. That's why on almost all my videos, I always do accessibility to 99%, but as you see, what happens is that now the Ray of Doom beam is completely missing, which is probably very strange to look at, but personally, I think it is the lesser evil if it means you guys not getting flashbanged. So, we're gonna keep it at 99 and have an invisible beam doing damage, I suppose. Anyway, 140 here was certainly one of the biggest roadblocks because the Ray of Doom lacked the single target. But now, if we have the third tower being a Homeland, we can basically scrape by nearly 10,000 DPS, and that's enough to pop Mr. F-Bad fairly early. Just gotta do a little bit of micro so I don't die too. DDT is good, because after round 140, no F-Bad spawned until round 200, so I think we're most likely going to be cooked in this case to, honestly, fortified ZMGs or DDTs if we continue to not get stalls as our support towers. The list of 3 towers Chimps runs have been widely documented, however, I don't think much about 3 TCs past round 140 have been documented. I think that's mostly because, well, these rounds are basically random. What you see right now at 143 is not what you will see on round 143 most likely. And this is the case for, like, except for maybe a couple preset rounds like 200 and 263 and 163. In a way, it makes sense in terms of fairness, because somebody who got to, say, 158 might have gotten lucky, whereas somebody else who tried their hardest, like, would have no chance to beat that round, depending on the seat they got. 148, things are starting to get a little bit dicey. We've got a bad getting to the last bend, and I'm not gonna lie, not being able to see the beam makes micro a lot harder. Now I have to kind of look at where my cursor is. Actually, what's kind of funny is that the beam shows up again, but only when you hit an obstacle. It's just a point on the palm tree. Interesting. I didn't realize that. And now let me focus down the last UMG. Actually, there's not much I can do. Just keep in a straight line. Come on. Ooh, close one. I did say Permabrew was the only affordable attack speed thing I can afford. The unaffordable upgrade I was talking about was Sun Temple, which is, you know, over $100,000 in Chimps mode. Don't think we could have afforded that unless we skipped Ultra Boost and tried to get Temple first. But I don't think we can. I definitely don't think we can skip that. That's super important upgrade. Anyway, after this round, things again get even dicier. Assume I even beat it because, boy, at the speed these balloons are moving right now, we struggle with, well, even just DDTs and their insides. That's why, again, I think it's personally better to have maybe a pure balloon support as my next tower, my 4th tower, rather than more attack speed, because we have the damage. We just don't have the ability to keep up with the ramping speed. Well, 151 here might be the end of the line. 3 bads. Even if I beat the DTs, we've got a bunch of full HP ZMGs to work with. Yeah, I don't even know how I tackle this. I think I gotta try to stall for Homeland, because if I don't have it, you see, it's so bad. We can barely even handle ZMGs as it is. So come on, just stall like 5 seconds. And blast off now. And we should be able to clutch in time. Come on. Again, invisibly beam go. Nope. Well, this round or the couple rounds after were probably the end of the line for 3 towers. So I think we're gonna add our 4th tower now. And as I said, I think I'd like some stall. How about a Balloon Crush? It's all my money. In fact, wow. It's perfectly the amount of money for a 5-2-0. Don't know if that's the best use of my money, or maybe I should have gone for a weaker, like, stall instead, like Super Glue, just so I could save 30k on other towers, but I might as well get the best one. I'm thinking the best one will benefit me the most. In fact, kind of funny interaction is that if it knocks back enough, then it can actually make it so that I can single out the first target, see? Say bads are circling around the center here, but Balloon Crush pushes them all the way to where they are right now. So in theory, this stall could give us a DPS boost. It's totally my plan all along for that. See what I'm talking about here? Look at those FDTs. They're not getting into the middle. So now I get the 80 damage boost, 80 damage tick on the target that I want. So in a way, it's basically more damage. Unfortunately, 4 bads this round, I still might like lack the DPS now to even beat bads in time. Like, what the hell? This one here is only number 2, and I'm having trouble beating it. Pop already, will ya? Okay, Bloon Crush can beat DTs. I gotta focus. Just ignore the ZMGs for now. Homeland up again. There's 3-4, and there's 4-4. As great as Bloon Crush is, we might have to add our 5th tower very soon. I'm also going to try to use easy rounds to Ultra Boost the Bloon Crush instead. So say there's only 2 bads this round. I can use back-to-back Ultra Boost on the Bloon Crush to try to get to 10 ASAP. Actually, wait a minute. It took me 3 rounds to realize I could just do this to get 10 stacks. This guy, again, is a permastall, so point Dartling Gun away because we have the ability to do that. And just simply stall this round to Oblivion until we get 10 stacks, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. Duh. As a bonus, we could even Ultra Boost the Ultra Boost or the Village. In case you guys remember, the giving an Ultra Boost stack to a Village just gives them more range, so just more coverage in case we do need it in the future. Why not? Unfortunately, there is an Ultra Boost cap of 10 per round, so we will end 155 and then use our next 10 stacks this round too. Oh crap, are we not going to be able to beat 4 bads this time? 5 rounds ago, 4 bads were barely beatable. And it seems like I'm lacking the damage. Anything I can do? Let's try putting Bloon Crush on last. I don't know. Also using Homeland immediately and just like basically optimizing every single second of this round so we make sure we're hitting as many BDs as possible. So keeping it in a straight line to get all 4 ideally. Move it down here, try to cover all 4. I think a nice buff to Radium would be to make the beam thicker, but for balance reasons, probably makes sense that they don't do that. Alright, I have tried to get better damage this time, and I did it. 3 damage Scarabs. Unfortunately, without Homeland, I think it's going to be too little too late. Come on. Oh, wow. We actually did have enough there. We just didn't get the Bloon Crush clutch. Unlucky. Alright, this is my best micro yet. Hitting the back 3, ignoring the first one for as long as possible. And using this angle here, while the Bloon Crush is stunning the other balloons, to get the 80 damage beam on that one. And come on. It still relies on Bloon Crush hitting DDTs. Good. Now that they're dead, back up here. But don't die to Ceramic, so hang on. Careful balance. Maybe stall for Homeland before popping the other 2 bads. Please, please, please. There we go. Got it? We shouldn't die to this now, right? Nice. Well, it's not going to get any easier, so if there's another round with 4 bads, it's probably game over. I forgot to mention this in commentary earlier, but the next best DPS would be called Arms. I forgot that is, well, something we could do, because Homeland isn't active all the time. So it'd be good to get 50% while it's not active. Unfortunately, it seems like I don't have the money for it if I needed it now. It's like 30,000+. I'm at least 5 rounds away from it. I am also going to die this round, aren't I? Come on. Don't die to this bad. Don't die to this bad either. Please pop. Good. We've been very lucky in that the last 3 rounds have had no bads whatsoever, so it looks like we can afford Call Arms whenever we need it now. Nice. Again, I'd guesstimate probably more worth it cost-wise and damage-wise than a Permabrew. Because starting with Permabrew, sure, I don't have the downtime, or I can't cover the downtime, but we stack Homeland and the Permabrew buff, which could, I guess, give us better potential. 2 bads this round. Should be doable, but again, with scaling, it's awfully spooky still. I think we're at that point now where even just 2 bads spawning, or 3 bads, will kill me during a round. Like, I'd say personally, we got a very lucky seed in the 160s. Nothing really threatening, not even a bad this round. But that luck will probably even out with, like, 5 bads in a round at some point, I'm guessing. Damn, 168, no bads either. I'll happily take the 60k. You also might notice I haven't dropped down my hero yet, Pat Fussy is probably the best thing that could buff Ray of Doom in damage, but again, it's like +3 on a tower that does dozens. And an ability that has low uptime too, so it's a pretty low priority hero. Probably increasing my DPS by, I guess, 1%. Genuinely, I cannot believe my luck right now. Like, there has not been a round with 3 or more bads. Oh, speaking of the devil, until this round. The last 15 rounds have been, like, so easy. But the 4TC dream is officially over at 171 due to scaling. It's not even that close, really, so kind of concerned that adding the 5th tower in the CTA won't make a difference. But we gotta die trying, down to 34k, so we could add tower 6 if that tower's not enough. Let's see that called arms diff. Well, it seems like it's made absolutely no diff because this bad is still not at the bandage phase, except for now. But there's no way that's enough time. Yeah, no, even if I did beat that, that scare would wreck me. Well, I guess time to put Permbrew Theory to the test. Is that better than Called Arms? And that answer appears to be yes, by a landslide. Holy, look. We're already at the bandage phase over here. Maybe my micro is better, but it does seem like permanent extra attack speed is the way to go. Because this is 1 of 3. I still think we might die to 2 and 3, though. I haven't damaged them enough. Is it doable, though? It's really far off, actually. But it's my best shot, I'd say. I think we just have to focus, well, as usual. More damage on Scarab number 2 and 3 instead of 1. If that one did well. So what I'm doing. And that's why there's no bandage phase yet on that one. But nope, not targeting the first one means it's probably too late, right? Unless it pops here. No, okay. Even with Permbrew, it's impossible. Now, I think we've reached that point where we need some intervention. This is, well, a plus damage giver, which I said is not too great compared with Ray of Doom, but it does do its own damage. So the days of Ray of Doom being 96 of the 97 million damage is over. Now that we add a Moab, it's going to, again, do its own significant damage. But personally, you know, I'd still count this as a support tower, kinda. Let's see if it's enough to even make a difference, though. Because if not, I think we just have to focus on beating the round instead of minimal towers. There's 1 of 3. And nope, Moab isn't doing it. Now, I am missing 10 Ultra Boost stacks, but even then, nothing's even come close. This is probably the most I can add while staying true to a Ray of Doom doing giga damage. You can see for yourself, but we've got more plus damage buffs, including level 3 Pat Fussy last minute. Would have liked to get level 14, so it does +3, but again, I don't think it's going to make a difference. But we can certainly see how close we get, that's for sure. Like, I'd say this time, if we can beat 2 of the 3 bads, I'd be satisfied. Also, I got a bit of a dilemma. Like, I want to target the first bad, obviously, but the second one needs help. But then I don't get the Chromo bonus on it. I guess it's worth it still. Come on, any difference? Nope. Still doesn't pop. One more try. Alright, last try for real. Looks like this time I just let the Chromoa beat the first bad. And so, would you look at that? That damage bad is really close. Okay, let's try to go for the win. Target number 3. Target back up to number 2. Now that we have the clear path of first target. And we clutched it. Bad news. Third bad cannot get the plus damage bonus. So again, we're gonna come very close, but 171 just hit us like a brick. And that's gonna do it. Good run, though. So in summary, we were able to 3TC up to 151, and 4TC up to 171. Not a bad showing from our $100,000 Ray of Doom. This was the kind of challenge I don't normally do, but I hope you enjoyed regardless. And if you did, leave a like, and stay tuned for more.